Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. Happy Monday, Manipulation Monday. That's what I'm coining the phrase here today, so we'll see what happens. But ZRX here, we're going to take a look at this, of course, help understand how much further this could go up or if it's going to pull back. This is a request from one of our community members here, Giancarlos. Greatly appreciate you requesting this here. I know it took me a couple days to get to it, but typically, busier on the weekends and weekdays are much better for me, so appreciate your patience. And if you are new to the channel, just know we take a lot of good trades here at ZRX. This is, again, a trade from last week when we shorted it. We took a good 50% in 8 hours. So awesome trade there. Since then, we've had some really good trades too. What was it? I think, well, there's a few, there's Render, Gala, of course, we just took that. And we took some nice profits here from Bitcoin here today too. Nice little 10x long there at about 57%. So cool stuff there. Greatly appreciate that. If you want to jump on over to our Discord and make some requests, I'd love to hear it. And just generally get to know our traders. We got some awesome traders over there. Be happy to get to know you better. We do also have a Telegram and Twitter as well, of course. All that stuff is here, available in the links down below. Yeah, so be sure to check that out in your own time. Hope you can learn something here today. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about, well, this ascending trend and if it's going to continue, and mainly the reason why it might be overextended and potentially due for a correction. So again, we took our profits roughly in this range here. We took a little 5x trade from the top to the bottom there. I think we got into roughly 22, got out at about 19, if I'm not mistaken. But the truth is, we were trying to figure out if we should short this or stay in a potential long, because I know folks in our community have taken long position. So what are we going to do here? Well, let's talk a little bit about the big picture. So first of all, moving averages are looking pretty decent. We're well above that. So the new resistance, what was the most recent resistance level, that's why we shorted right here, is the new support. Okay, so 21.5 is likely support level, so the price pulls back. We could see a bounce off that range because, again, that's the moving average consolidating there. The 200-day SMA is a very strong support and resistance level, but also a previous resistance here as well where the price action rejected off that level. Okay. We've also got this most recent resistance level here that is now broken. Okay, now I say it's broken now because technically the daily candlestick hasn't closed yet. We've got 6 hours and 45 minutes left until this candlestick closes. So for the moment, as of right now, we have broken through that, but we need to ensure today's candlestick closes above 22.5 to have that reaffirm itself as a potential support. We do want to move our Fibonacci retracement levels up a little bit here and potentially reset. In fact, if we take a look at Elliott Wave, we can see here that we do have potential pullbacks for these three levels, 0.382, 0.5, and 0.6. Really common Fibonacci retracement level. So just be mindful. We are overextended. We have 4 white soldiers here now. Okay? Typically, when you have 3 green days, it's followed by a 4th red day. I'm speculating the price action shot up pretty hard right now because of all the extra money coming into Bitcoin. And if you take a look, though, this is kind of a cause for concern. Bitcoin dominance is up. And it's one of those situations where Bitcoin dominance is increasing. We could very well see a sell-off. Let me talk about that just briefly so you understand what I'm talking about. We take a look at our crypto cheat sheet here. This is kind of something I have pinned in our education section. Bitcoin dominance is up. Bitcoin price is up. Alts should start coming down here soon. Okay, so please understand, it's not just everything's going to dump, but at this point, for the most part, we can recognize that we are due for a correction because when the Bitcoin dominance goes up and Bitcoin price goes up, a lot of profits are being taken from altcoins and being put into Bitcoin. Granted, we did see what was it, 1.02 billion dollars in Bitcoin purchased within 15 minutes. So obviously there's an extra amount of volume in the market. So just some random things to kind of think about or to understand. Those things do factor in. I do think that overextension plus Bitcoin dominance being high and the price of Bitcoin being high or higher, then we are in a position where we could very well see alts start to suffer. So don't be surprised if we see some red from some alts this week, just based on the fact that it's that natural give and take of the market. Okay, so we've established all that. We are closer to 70 on the RSI, potential rejection level as well. We saw 70 on the RSI reject recently with this large candle wick and the price pull back. So on that same sentiment, we could very well see the price action perform the same function. So we saw that and down. We're seeing a similar scenario. We're going to go down again. Well, there is potential there. So I'm leaning a little bit more towards a rejection off 70 on the RSI, the price pulling back to at least the 22.5 level, or possibly even 21.5, 20. I think initially, though, if you're going to short closely and low leverage, low position size to this level here at about 22.5. It seems more appropriate. Again, this is just based on the macro. We haven't looked at the smaller time frames yet either. So generally, we can summarize here that we're overextended. We rejected at a resistance level there, and the likelihood of that breaking that level is lower. But you do also got to recognize there's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 now times or attempts to try to break 24.7. It's a very, very difficult level to cross. Okay? So that's a good sign for shorts, but for longs, that we might just need another couple of attempts to break through that level. But again, a lot of volume came into the market here today, so that could be part of it. Taking a look at the 4 hour, we can note here a few things. First of all, we're tapering off just below 70 on the RSI, which is good. We can see that the SMAs are increasing, and of course, all in all, fairly bullish here. We do got to recognize too that this ascending trend is very sharp, and sharp trends typically come to an end fairly quick. So please understand that this is all well and good, but there's a decent chance we might see the price pull back because this is such an aggressive uptrend. It hasn't had enough time to consolidate. While it has consolidated at this previous resistance, turn support, it's not enough. Okay? Now let's take a quick look here at the volume. Actually, I may stand corrected here, because if you take a look here, you kind of zoom out, right? You expect most of the volume to be at this lower level, which it is, but there's also an equal amount of volume right here in this range of 21 to 22. That leads me to believe that if price does pull back, we're more likely to see a bounce on one of these 3 levels as a potential reality, because we have that volume profile here increasing in the most recent. Okay? Again, that does change if you zoom out, obviously. You can see that there's still a lot of volume here at the 0.5, 0.618 levels. So again, even though we could see a pullback to those ranges, we may not see it as low as that level. I think initially 22.5 would make sense, but anything below that, it's going to take some aggressive selling to see that. So again, all the more reason to keep your targets tight and not to get aggressive. Getting a short from the current price point down to 15 cents is not going to happen. Yeah, you're going to just have to see Bitcoin to what is it like? You're going to need to break 25,000 to the downside in order for that to happen. While it is still possible, it's less likely. Okay, so we can summarize here that the 4 hour is fairly overextended, due for a correction, and even though there are some bullish qualities, we're still ascending positively. These ascending trends typically come to an end after 72 hours, and we're at about 108 or so into this continuation upwards. So you got to recognize that this overall trend, while it has had some increases and decreases along the way, this is still a lot of movement in a short amount of time. Okay, on the hourly, very last thing we want to recognize here is Ichimoku Cloud. Lagging span is about 12 hours away from intersecting there. Conversion lines above the baseline, and the lagging span is still free and clear. So minus the cloud here, again, we need to see the price action continue higher in order to maintain above that. There's a decent chance we could see the price go sideways down and break through there, use that as resistance and come back down. So my money is still leaning a little bit more towards the price pulling back than going up. Again, these are just my thoughts based on what we see here so far, but there is slightly larger probability of the price action pulling back for this coin than it is to increase. And again, I hope I'm wrong and you're in a long position and just goes, that'd be fantastic. But I'm leaning a little bit more towards a consideration of a short position to this 22.5 range, just to kind of get some quick profit there. It may turn around and it may not even come down that low. You got to recognize, just because we have potential for these Fibonacci levels doesn't mean it's going to happen. There's a higher statistical probability it will, but we don't know if this is the top yet. So this is the highest point that ZRX is going to go in the next 24, 48 hours. Then it would make sense to see these 3 levels. But we truly haven't topped out yet. However, hitting 70 on the RSI on both 4 hour and the daily leads me to believe that we should see a pullback here soon. Plus, we've seen 4 days of continuation with no correction, and I think it's due for another correction. You could argue that this is a correction here. I mean, yesterday the price did pull back for sure, but again, those are just the initial profits from the weekend, kind of standard stuff for Sunday. All right, so that's where we're at there. I hope that made sense and I clarified that correctly. If you want to, again, become a better trader, I've got Trading Academy community and Signals group, of course, linked down below with our Crypto Cash Premium. Stay posted too. I'm going to be posting tomorrow a new exchange that we're partnering with here that doesn't require KYC or VPN, primarily for our US and Canadian members. But either way, you can still benefit. It's an awesome new exchange. I'll be providing some content later in the week too of how to use the exchange properly, just to make sure you know. But there will be a registration bonus and all that wonderful stuff. Be sure to stay tuned. So hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thanks again so much for joining me. We'll see you in the next one. Take good care.